Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen spent his Christmas in the hospital.
Overnight, Nebraska medicine doctors finished up yet another surgery after he was bucked off a horse last weekend. First Alert 6 reporter Brian Mastery joins us with a progress report.
Brian, any idea when the governor will be headed home?
Dave, Jacqueline, it's going to be a while. Remember, the governor was thrown from a horse on Sunday afternoon near his home in Columbus. He was riding with family. His trauma doctors said he wanted to go home the next night, so Monday night, that he was already walking around the halls and working on his recovery. But they cautioned the big uncertainty is if his breathing was impacted by those 7 broken ribs. Pillen then chose to get the surgery to help that. Last night, Pillen, who is 68, received what's known as rib fixation. It's a 4-hour procedure. Surgeons stabilize the broken ribs with metal plates. It's supposed to help with the pain, promote stronger long-term healing, and limit any complications. This morning around 2 a.m., the governor's team sent First Alert 6 an email calling the surgery a success. We're also told there have been no new issues with his bruised kidney, punctured lung, or spleen from the accident. This is the governor's second surgery since the fall. On Monday, the trauma team needed to stop the bleeding of his spleen. The governor is expected to remain in the hospital for what his team calls several more days for recovery. Plus, doctors want to watch for any surprises. In the newsroom, Brian Mastery, First Alert 6.